the New Testament scriptures don't give us a lot of teaching on the ministry of the apostle. So in order to understand this better, the Lord directed us to look into the Old Testament and to approach this from the viewpoint of seeing that a lot of the events in the Old Testament were allegories. Paul even uses this terminology in the New Testament in referring to some Old Testament events. And so the Lord showed us that many of the Bible characters, the major Bible characters in the Bible, were actually pictures or types of higher level leaders at the apostolic level. And so we located initially 4 different men that God used who typified and pictured a different aspect of the apostolic ministry and function at the highest level. Later, the Lord showed that there are another group of people who also function at this level, but their main emphasis is not ministry, but it is business. And so we found out that there were actually another 4 men that were pictures of apostolic entrepreneurs, or those who are called to business. And so the Lord showed that when you put these 2 together, you actually have 7 different main characters. And the reason there's 7 instead of 8 is because one of them holds both functions. And they can be classed as both a ministry apostle and a business apostle. Now, the 4 main ministry apostolic types are seen in Moses and David and Joshua and Solomon. And so we'll look at this in some detail. In this book, you will look at the Moses apostle and his preparation and training. Moses is more of a teaching-oriented apostle. We'll look at the Joshua apostle, and the Joshua apostle has more of a revival emphasis. And then David was a picture of an apostle who has a restoration emphasis. And then finally, Solomon is an apostle who actually wears both hats, as it were. He functions either in ministry or in business. And Solomon came last, and he was the one who brought out the final establishment of the nation of Israel. You'll be interested to see how closely the lives of these men follow the pattern that is taken by somebody who's called to move into these levels of apostolic ministry. Not everyone is one apostolic type. It is possible for an apostle to hold more than one of these, but essentially there are only 4 kinds of apostle that function in ministry. We will look at the other apostles that function in business in another book, but for now, if God has called you to the apostolic level, one or more of these 4 are where you are likely to be headed.